Hello everybody. So this is the bell ringer for today. So multiplying matrices like we talked about yesterday in class. You can pause the video, try both of these problems on a whiteboard or a piece of scratch paper. You can solve them by hand or on the calculator, either method. But then replay the video when you're ready to check the answers. So I'll give you about a couple minutes to do that. Okay, so these should be your answers to these two. The second one is not possible. Remember, the inner dimensions need to match. So this first one is a 2 by 3 matrix. 2 rows, 3 columns. The second one is a 2 by 2. So your inner dimensions do not match. So you cannot multiply the second one. All right, so 3.7, solving systems using Cramer's rule. So we're going to do a little introduction in this video today. Tomorrow we will solve a system of 2 variables with Cramer's, and then we'll get into solving a system of 3 variables. So that's a little bit more challenging towards the end of the week. So every square matrix, which is a 2 by 2, has a determinant. Or we're going to talk about a 3 by 3 later. The determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix is called a second order determinant. So we're going to be using determinants when we actually solve the system in class tomorrow. So the way you do this, and I'll show you by hand and also on the calculator, is if you have, look at the example here, A, B, C, D. Kind of like cross products in a way. You're subtracting the cross products. So A times D, that's A times D, minus the BC product. So if you look at the one with the numbers, 4 times 6, that's 24, minus 5 times negative 3. So this ends up being 24 minus a negative 15, which turns into 24 plus 15, and that's how they're getting 39. So if we look down at the 2 examples we're going to do, it's always the kind of left cross product minus the right one. So I'll write out all the work here in the beginning. 5 times 9 minus 8 times negative 4. So this is going to be 45, subtract a negative 32, which is just like saying 45 plus 32, and this gives you 77. Likewise on B, 0 times negative 11, well that's 0, minus 4 times 6, which is 24, so 0 minus 24 gives you an answer of negative 24. So you try these 4, pause the video, try them to do them by hand, writing down the cross products and then subtracting. Be careful of your signs, and then replay the video when you're ready for the answers. Okay, so the answers are 8 times 7, which is 56, minus 5 times 6, which is 30, gives you a determinant of 26. The second one, negative 4 times 5 is a negative 20, minus the 9 times the 12, which is 108, gives you an answer of negative 128. One underneath, negative 6 times 10 is a negative 60, minus 8 times negative 6, which is a negative 48, which technically changes to negative 60 plus 48, and that is a negative 12. And finally, the last one here, 16 times 5 is 80, minus negative 8 times negative 10 is a positive 80, so you get 0 on that last one. So those are 2 by 2 square matrices. Now we're going to talk about a 3 by 3, or a third order determinant. So we're going to use this when we solve a system of equations with 3 variables on Friday. So this is called by using a diagonal rule. And we're going to follow these 4 steps I'll show you by hand how to do this, and then at the end, use the calculator. So step 1, rewrite the first 2 columns to the right of the determinant. So let's look at an example here. I'm going to copy this down. 4, -3, -4, -8, 2 and 5, 3, 6, 9. So be careful when you write that down. I'm going to take the first 2 columns, which are these 2, and I'm going to rewrite them to the right of my determinant. So this is going to be a 4, -3, -4, and then the second column was -8, a 2, and a 5. Okay. If we look at step 2, so we just did step 1. Step 2 is drawing diagonals, beginning with the upper left element, and we're going to multiply the elements in each diagonal. Repeat the process beginning with the upper right. So we're going to draw 3 diagonals to the left and 3 diagonals to the right, and we're going to multiply those on the way down. So I'm going to highlight here what I'm talking about. So this is our first diagonal, starting with the upper left. Here's the second one, here's the third one. So you are going to multiply those numbers out. So 4 times 2 times 9 ends up being 72. The second diagonal is -8 times 6 times -4. So that then ends up being a positive 192. And the third diagonal is 3 times -3 times 5, which ends up being a -45. So you can just say subtract 45. I'm going to do the same thing to the right side, but then it says find the sum of the products. And then finally we're going to subtract the second sum from the first one. So let's finish this up here. So if you add up all the left products, you get 219. I'm going to highlight the right diagonals in blue. So again, we're going to find the product of those on the way down. So 3 times 2 times -4 is a -24. The middle diagonal is a 4 times 6 times 5, which is positive 120. And then the last one is -8 times -3 times 9, which ends up being 216. So if you add up those products, you get 312. And like the directions state, it says subtract the second sum from the first sum. So we are taking 219, subtract 312, and you can do that on the calculator or some mental math, but you get a final answer of -93. So you can try the next 2. So try this by using diagonals. And then finally, I'm going to show you how to type this on the calculator. So hopefully you pause the video, you're giving these a try. After that, and after I show you on the calculator, I want you to do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just practicing using that on the calculator or diagonals. And I'm going to show you 2A here on the calculator. So what you need to do is, here's the calculator screen. You have to get DET to show up first, which you're going to go to second matrix. Whoops. Second matrix. This comes up, arrow over once to math, and the DET stands for determinant. So you're going to press enter. Now I need to type in the matrix. So yesterday I showed you the quick way of getting the matrix, which is alpha zoom. And this is a 3 by 3. we need to, whoops, go up an arrow to a 3, press enter. Change it from a 2x2 to a 3x3. And then arrow down to OK. And then we're going to enter the numbers in carefully. Remember, the negative sign is down at the bottom. So -5, you can arrow down to -2, -4. Bottom one was a 6, -1, a 9 at the top. I can press delete to get these zeros out of the way. All right, then I got 4, 5, 2 in the last column. Okay, so I got all the numbers entered in. If you press enter, you get that it's -48. So that should be the answer to letter 2A, is -48. If you go back to the calculator, again, to do the next one, you can clear this off. Remember, I went to second matrix, arrow over to math, enter on number 1, then alpha zoom, entering in a 3x3, and just type in the numbers. So for this one, this is 2B. So this is -8, 0, and a 3. The middle column is a -4, -5, and 4. And the last column is 4, -8, and 1. And press enter, you get -60. So what you could do is practice these ones with the calculator just so you're comfortable with using it, but you should also know how to do it by hand. And to make sure you were listening to this full video, because this is important, we're going to use these for later in the week. I'm going to hide 3 paper spiders somewhere in the classroom on Thursday, and the first people to find those will get some treats for Halloween. All right, see you tomorrow.